In today's video, I'm here in Brooklyn, New York. I came up here from Virginia Beach because I want to know, what are the values here? How much does the dollar, how far can the dollar go in the real estate market? And I want to look at how much the values have changed over the years. Further, we're going to meet my mentor, Dan Borrero. He's been in the real estate investing business since 1989. He's a landlord. He's got doors all around the New York area in New Jersey and Florida. And he's gonna hopefully take us to one of his properties and just take us through the city and show us where the dollar is moving, where the economic progress is coming. So Dan is capitalizing on this, and I want all of us to understand, including you, how we could possibly capitalize on this stuff in our area of town and point out, how do you recognize where the city's growing? All right, let's do it. Okay, class, it's Kris Haskins with therealestateroundup.com. My mission and ministry is to raise your financial literacy through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. So I'm right here in Brooklyn, New York, off of Flatbush Avenue. It's crazy. Traffic is just insane. It's not that clean here. I'm not used to this. Being from Virginia, it's a lot cleaner. And I thought Virginia Beach was dirty, right? So when I'm coming here, I'm seeing just people everywhere. Not sure if I would want to live down here. So my family is staying, we're in Manhattan in Times Square. My family's there, and I decided to come here real early in the morning and possibly do some content to kind of understand what's going on here in Brooklyn. Dan has got hundreds of doors around here, and he's going to take us to one, and we're going to drive with him and just see what has happened over time. Why have the values gone so high? And hopefully he'll be able to show us some of his doors that have really just gone crazy in values too, okay? So let's wait for Dan to get here, and we're gonna drive through town and see what's going on here in Brooklyn, New York. Dan's on the way to pick me up now. There he is, he's here. Let's do this. Borrero!
You ride?
I get in this thing.
Mr. Kris Haskins, how are you, brother? How you doing, kid?
Good to see you.
Yes.
We are here. This place is not as clean as I thought, Dan.
No, this is the other side of Brooklyn, man. You know what? This is a good thing. You getting to see a lot of different sides. I'm gonna just put in the navigation.
So let's do it.
So we can get around.
All right. So we traffic. We here, y'all. We're here in Brooklyn. So Dan Borrero, been in the business since 1989. One of my mentors, friend. The good thing about Dan is he knows 100% of the information. Man's been doing it forever. Buys, sells, a long-term hold guide, wholesaling, buys land, commercial, residential, all this stuff, right? He enjoys helping people is a big thing. And most of all, Dan, he likes to have fun while he's doing business, right, Dan?
This is true. I mean, why not, man? That's what it's all about. If you can't have fun while you're doing business, well, if you ain't having fun when you're making money, then you're just miserable.
That's true. That's a miserable life. It's a miserable life.
Yeah, it's a miserable life. So, what do you want to know about Brooklyn?
I want to know,
Mr. Haskins.
This Target looks relatively new. Well, first of all, what is the demographic here? What are these people? I feel like I'm the biggest dude around here. These people are smaller people.
So these are a lot of Caribbean people here from the Caribbean islands. Mm-hmm. A lot of Haitians from Grenada, islands like that. And it's a thriving community. I'm talking about, there's not one empty store in any of these strips, right? These are hardworking people coming here to make the American dream happen, right? Mm-hmm. And you could tell just by, all these stores are fully occupied. There's not one empty store, right? And you see all the
mom and pop stuff.
Yeah,
here.
All mom and pop stuff. And you see people there's a lot of people walking in the streets. If you notice, everybody's walking around with a shopping bag, right? So, it's a thriving community. The prices of houses have gone up here dramatically as a result of all this commercial that's coming in, or that's coming already. And the reality is that, the first generation immigrants that came here have bought their homes, mm-hmm. and now they're starting to sell their homes to people coming in, to other investors or the new generation, and at a much, you know, higher price than what they acquired it at back in the days, because all these stores used to be empty.
Really? Why was that? Why were they empty?
A lot of it happened as a result of the blackout in the 70s.
What's the blackout?
The blackout, I forget what year it was, but these stores all got looted.
Oh.
And it took you know, almost 2 decades for it to come back.
Wow. Okay.
But again, it's a thriving community, and that's just not this community. That happened in Fort Greene. That happened in many other communities in the city as well. But in Brooklyn, this is one of the places that it happened at.
This is cool. So we're gonna drive through town, y'all, and look at some of the stuff. Dan's gonna give us a history lesson of Brooklyn, New York.
Yes,
Let's do this.
Yes. So I love Brooklyn. It's got a lot of different culture, and as you guys will see when we drive through different neighborhoods, how the feel changes, and the ethnicity changes, and the type of food that's available to you will change, and the music that you're going to hear in the streets are going to change, and how some streets are quieter than others. But the one thing that doesn't change is the architecture in most
Let's talk
parts,
about it, Dan.
right?
Wow, look at this here. We got stuff. I thought about you yesterday in the city with these cornice. What is it? Cornices?
Cornishes, yes.
know
So
nothing
a
about
lot
it.
of these places do not change as far as architecture is concerned. So,
Look
you
at
know,
this
when the
stuff.
city was originally founded, it was, you know, there's a lot of Dutch influence, New England, Holland influence in architecture. So if you look up there, like those cornishes,
This is insane, Dan.
that has a lot to do with Dutch.
I thought about you in the city repairing those things, Dan.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a pain. It's many guys just remove them
Yeah.
because most of that's made out of wood, and you know it rots.
I was gonna say that.
And you know it's very expensive to fix, especially with the cost of labor and the cost of pulling a permit. And then when you pull a permit now in the city of New York, you got to put up what they call a shed, a walking shed, and it's a shed that's made to protect pedestrians walking
Yeah.
underneath.
That could be what, Dan?
It could go into thousands of dollars depending on how long you leave it up, and then of course you got to pull the permit. Right now I'm having an issue with a shed that we had installed. It was installed for about a month and a half on a job that we were doing in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. And what happened was that the contractor hired an architect you have to have an architect design the shed, and then you hire the shed company to come in and install the shed according to the design of the architecture, and to hold the load in the event of any bricks falling and things like that.
Yeah. So a shed. Would you make sure people understand what a shed? I want to see if we can find one.
Yeah, when we find one,
When I'm thinking about a shed, I'm thinking about my backyard, Dan.
No, it's not. It's metal devices with a metal top, held up with metal poles, and the metal poles are secured against each other.
Yeah.
And then you have a roof on it, so that in the event that there's any debris that falls off the building when people are working, anyone walking underneath is safe, right?
Got it. I don't see any here.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. We'll see one though.
Yeah.
So fast forward, what's happened is, in my case, the job got written off, the job was closed out, but unbeknownst to me, and I paid the contractor, 5 years later I come to find out that the shed was not closed. The permit for the shed was
still
not
open.
closed.
Open
It's still
permit.
Open permit.
Oh my Lord.
So now I go to the buildings department. I said, well, the shed's not there. And he says, well, we didn't get an order to come out and inspect. I says, all right, well, what do I have to do? Tell me what paperwork I got to fill out, and I'll fill it out so you guys can come out and check. Well, oh no, you can't do that. I said, what do you mean I can't do that? Well, you're not licensed. I said, what do you mean I'm not licensed?
I own the building.
I own the building.
You shouldn't have a license.
And they were like, no, you need a licensed architect to
put the thing up?
To reopen the permit so that we could come out and close the permit. And I was like, what?
Oh, look at this.
So you saw it, she just cut in front of me?
No.
Yeah. So I was like,
Here's one right here.
There you go. You know what?
Let's take a trip there. Sorry, y'all. We gotta get this stuff. Okay.
This is an example of a shed.
Now, this could cost me what, Dan?
This could cost you anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000.
This doesn't look like $5,000 to me. This
Bro,
looks way more than $5,000.
It's not. Again, it all depends how long they're gonna have it up, and the type of the job. So you see, it's got literally I beams. They've got 9-inch I beams up there.
That ain't going nowhere.
Holding up that shed.
Wow. Got it. Okay. So I want everybody to understand what Dan. Before you meet guys like this, you know, you walk through cities and you wonder, who owns these buildings, right? So this is one of the guys. I didn't even know. Are you renting it, Dan? Is it like 30 days you pay, 60 days?
The longer you have it, the more you pay.
Like a renting thing.
Yeah. These are companies, and they come in and they put this shed up probably in about 3 hours.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, 3 to 4 hours the most. And then it'll take them about that long to take it down. Yeah. So
look at this, yo. This is really cool.
This is the shed.
To see that in action, but I want to understand, y'all understand, when we're doing flips and renovations, we just go in and rip out. Not Dan Borrero.
No. Like, you see this work that they're doing, this detailed work here?
Oh wow, Dan.
That takes some real extra
expertise,
detail,
right?
To repair those cornices and that design.
Street. But Dan,
that building's like 1920s.
Not everybody can do this though. I mean, just to get up there, he's painting that. Is he pointing it up?
No, he's painting that. The pointing is already done.
I see that brick looks brand new.
Yeah, no, it's not. That was power wash. That was, right now, what he's doing is priming. The heavy work was done.
That brick looks.
That was power wash, repointed, and now he's doing that section of he's priming, and then they're gonna paint it with the gray.
Man, that is sweet.
But that's extensive. That's intense labor. On top of being intensive labor, that's a skill set, and it's hard to find those skill sets today.
Got it. This is so cool. Dan, wow, look at these cornices. It's crazy. They got some big ones in Manhattan, bro. Long ones.
Yes.
And they're going out 3 feet. They look prestigious here. I mean, they look in great condition, Dan. I'm presuming that the landlord or the owner of the home.
Well, I mean, you got to take care of those cornices because God forbid a piece of wood falls down and hurts one of your tenants or a pedestrian or even your own family. Because a lot of these houses, most of them are owned by the people. Most of the people living in these houses, although there may be 2-family, 3-family houses, the owners actually live in them. These are house. You know, everyone talks about house hacking like it's something new, but for immigrants, house hacking has been the way
only way.
You developed wealth in the United States with your own property, right?
It's the only way you could do it, right? You couldn't afford to do it any other way?
Listen, you know, I remember the first property my father ever owned was a 6-family building, and we lived on the first floor.
Sweet.
Right? But you can see all the new construction.
What's this, Dan? Something big going on.
Yeah, I don't know here. Again, I'm not real familiar with this side of Brooklyn. I don't really come this far out. I don't need to.
Okay.
So, like, in this case, I don't own anything in this area because do you see how difficult with traffic it is to get here?
I did.
This is not really centrally located to
I went too deep.
Yeah.
I'm in deep end.
Yeah. This is not centrally located to, like, any of the bridges or the tunnels. And I mean, there is a lot of public transportation to get you into the city, but it takes you a while to get here, right? So I'm primarily in Clinton Hill, Fort Greene, and Park Slope, and I'm there for several reasons. One, that's where I was comfortable when I graduated from college. I came back to my old neighborhood because I was comfortable there. And secondly, the truth is that it's centrally located.
I like the sound. We're good. We're gonna cut in a minute. Go ahead.
It's centrally located to. It's centrally located to the bridges, right? To the Brooklyn Bridge.
I was gonna say the bridge,
the tunnels, right? So you know, when I was looking at the map of Brooklyn, I was like, wait a minute. I grew up in the very same neighborhood that I feel is gonna gentrify and blow up because of its location. I didn't realize how convenient it was growing up because I was actually living in the bubble.
Yeah.
And after I left and came back with a whole new mentality, different mindset as a result of my experience from meeting different people in college and opening up my eyes. Like, you know, not everybody's the same. Not everybody has the same, comes from the same mentality or same neighborhoods, same backgrounds. I learned. I would actually sit there and listen to other people's conversations and learn.
Me
like,
too.
wait a minute, like,
Me too.
hold on a second. Like,
This is how it works?
Yeah, so like people say good morning to you and it's not about trying to get over on you. Like, you know, like they actually mean it, you know?
So let's do this, Dan. Let's cut and then we'll come back when we get closer to your area. Is that okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, Dan.
So this here, Kris, we're coming into down to Metro Tech area. I want you to just turn the camera around, show them the big buildings. This here, when I was a kid, was all little one-story.
Like this?
Yeah, M1 zone, car repair places.
Manufacturing zone.
They're knocking these down and building these type of buildings now with commercial on the ground floor. Look over here. Look across the street what they're building over here.
Wow.
These were all one-story buildings, commercial buildings.
Insane.
And as a result of what happened in Metro, as a result of what happened in Metro Tech, it's starting to push over to this side of Brooklyn now. Now, Metro Tech is about a mile down the road.
What is Metro Tech? Dan?
Metro Tech was an idea by a guy named Bruce Ratner, and where he wanted to develop downtown Brooklyn, which is right over the Manhattan Bridge, coming into Flatbush Avenue.
So straight ahead is Manhattan.
Straight ahead is you would hit into the Manhattan Bridge and the Brooklyn Bridge.
Got it.
And Ratner, understood the value of Brooklyn and it's different. And took advantage and appreciated its diversity, and incorporated the diversity into the Metro Tech area. Not only with the architecture, but also with the type of eateries that he brought in, and the leisure activities at night, right?
Okay.
But it was made for office buildings primarily and residential buildings. And then as a result of that came the Barclays Center, which you guys all know the Brooklyn teams play there. So
look at this.
This area here is now we're coming into. It's kind of debatable. The realtors want to call this Clinton Hills, but this is really Fort Greene for me.
I see the roofs here. What is that material, Dan? Not asphalt shingles. What is that other shingles they got?
I'm not sure where you
The
look.
real thick shingles.
That's
terracotta.
Terracotta or slate.
Slate. That is not cheap, Dan.
No, and
oh my Lord.
But this is an old building, and structurally it could hold it up. New buildings it's not cost effective because they have to put in more foundation and structural work to sustain and uphold the weight of the slate or the terracotta roofs.
Beautiful building.
Yes, it's a much different.
It's a whole other field, Dan. I see more white people.
Like I said, man, as you drive through the neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods, it'll change within blocks. It doesn't happen, you don't have to drive very long. So this here used to be, see where the brick and white building there is? That used to be the old Daily News depot.
Okay.
And all these new buildings up here, these new residential buildings, they just finished putting them up. They're still working on some of them on the inside right there. That also used to be part of the Daily News depot. Okay. And when I was a kid, all the Daily News trucks would be lining up, at midnight there to get the newspapers that were going out for morning delivery, right? So, and they would put out two editions per day. So you'd have the one at night, the morning and the evening. And it was,
a lot of news going on.
Back then, I remember, no matter what subway train you got into, there was always newspapers on the floor on a chair. So
I see some empty space there. Is that more buildings?
Those are train tracks.
Okay, cool.
So this is Vanderbilt. This is one of the main arteries in Fort Greene.
Okay. Fort Greene is a part of town in Brooklyn.
Yes.
This is just too cool. The horn. The horn in New York. Lord. He need to get those shocks fixed, kid.
He just needs to I gotta watch my language. So, again, this here is all new. All new.
Oh, sweet. What is it?
Learn how to drive.
Really, Dan? Really? Is it that serious? So that's why I live in Virginia. I like to visit New York, but it's just too stressful. I can see Dan, he's got all the aggression, so can't do that. All right, don't get me shot around here.
So, this is Fort Greene. I want you to turn the camera around because now we're gonna. So this
is a school though?
Yes, this is a school. This is new construction here.
Oh,
I want you to. This new construction is about 20 years old. That's new for Brooklyn, right?
What, have they graffitied this up or something?
Yeah, they would remove it. But look at this. Now, this is old because these are old brownstones, pre-war construction buildings. Do you see the difference with the architecture?
I do.
The detailed work.
A lot of time.
Right. Look at this here. Let's stop right here. Look at the architecture.
My goodness gracious. Every window has a thing over the top. That's crazy, Dan.
It is, isn't it? Look at the wood. Look at the wooden doors. Those are original wooden doors that have been, look at the details.
Oh, yeah,
now, if you look at these doors and you ever go to Amsterdam,
what's the lock there, Dan? Is that an eviction there? Somebody got a lock on the door?
Maybe, I'm not sure. I didn't see it. But the point is, if you look at the detail, architecture there,
from where we were,
and you visit like Amsterdam, or if you visit England, you're going to see how much of a resemblance it is. And that's the result of New York City having been settled by the Dutch and the British.
Yeah, they said something about New Amsterdam. This was supposed to be named. Or something.
Yes, that's exactly. So
there's some more of those sheds going up.
Yeah,
looks expensive.
Real expensive. So this was a park my buddies and I would come to, climb over the fence. It's not a park, it belongs to Bishop Lockland High School. And we climb over the fence on Sunday morning so we could play some stickball in there and not get in trouble.
Are we going to hit any of your buildings on the way to the building?
We'll hit a few of them.
Oh, we're just telling them to take a look.
But this is actually part of the neighborhood that I grew up in, that I felt comfortable in.
Okay.
And like I said, there's not much around this neighborhood. Now, this neighborhood didn't look like this back in the days.
Well, that was still there. These were here.
The buildings were still here. They weren't as well maintained because, mostly poor people that own these buildings. Like, that.
I can't believe you're saying that.
Well,
poor people own this stuff?
Yeah, look, back in the days, this was what they called a red line district, where the banks wouldn't lend.
This was a red line district?
Yeah, where the banks would not lend money because
help me understand
the population level was mostly black and Hispanic, Puerto Ricans.
But now I see I got my white folk here.
Exactly. But, as a result of the laws having changed, with affirmative action laws, redlining became illegal. And so that's why when people say, hey, on social media, they say, well, the new thing is you try to get the owner, the seller to finance it. It's better for you. I'm like, shit, black people and Puerto Rican people, we've been doing this since day one. That's the only way we were able to sell our properties in these neighborhoods, right? It's my father bought his second building that way, where, he had a bodega and Miss Delano wanted to sell the building, and the only way to sell the building was if she was willing to hold the mortgage because the banks wouldn't lend money on it, right? So for blacks and Hispanics, that's not new to us, right? That's not a new tactic. There's really not anything in the real estate business that is new.
Nothing new in real estate. Just
this here was like 5 buildings on this street and 3 buildings on that street on this corner, and they used to look like that corner building on the right. So now this developer came in who had an idea, bought all those properties, knocked them down, rented out the Walgreens on the ground floor, and built apartments on top.
Got it.
Right? He's even got on the top, they got roof access for sunbathing, barbecuing.
Nice.
It's a garden up there, right? So, but again, they killed the architecture of the neighborhood when they build this stuff. In my opinion, there should be laws that you have to sustain the architecture. Now, but the problem is it's so expensive, it may deter people from actually
is that my city inspector
developing. So this here was a building. We're gonna drive by one of my properties.
We're doing some work there.
You see there's wood frame buildings here too? You see how each block has its own character?
Yeah, it goes from...
Right, this is new construction built like 10 years ago. When you see these old wooden houses, these are all being redeveloped. Now look at this one. You see this one here?
Wow.
That was just redone. Look how beautiful that is.
I see people doing black brick now.
Yes, yes. The grays and the blacks. So this here is a property I own for about 20 years.
95?
Yep, 95.
You got some no, you got an overhang, 18-inch overhang with no corner.
That's right. We got rid of the corners. So
You got rid of yours?
So I don't have to deal with the inspection part.
Oh, y'all hear that. So it's a 3-family?
This is a 3-family. Each apartment pays approximately $3,400 a month.
Good God.
They pay
10 grand.
They pay their own heat and hot water.
Sweet. What's that little side door right there for, Dan?
That's actually a horse walk.
Okay.
And the reason they call it a horse walk, because in the back there's a shed where people used to store their horses, and they would bring their horses to the horse walk. This is a building that was built in like 1890.
Okay.
The foundation are huge rocks. That's the foundation.
Okay.
This is what they call a rock foundation. And this building is, again, it was built around 1890, if I recollect correctly. And back then they still had horses. Here's another horse walk, but this is for carriages.
I see.
Right?
Oh,
and you see the
wow.
carriage house in the back?
That's the brick thing?
Yeah, that's a carriage
sweet.
house with the horse house, where the stable would be for the horses.
You got a flat roof up there, Dan?
That's a flat roof.
Let's talk about that for people who don't understand.
Well, I just want to show you guys something else. Here's another horse walk.
Where?
Right here. Where
I
that
don't see
garage door is
Right here?
actually a carriage walk. It goes all
okay.
the way to the back.
Got it.
I'll show you guys somewhere else. This is very common in these areas. You see that?
Right.
That used to be a horse walk too.
Got it.
That's not an alleyway, that's a horse walk.
Horse walk.
Right? That's where horses used to be brought. Now, I'll show you guys something else. Right here, my brother and I bought these 2 lots. You see the pink brick buildings?
No, the ones
right here.
That are lean back, that are back?
Yes.
The setbacks are farther.
We bought those 2 lots back in, this was back in the 90s. We paid approximately $70,000 for both of those lots.
Oh my God. It was just dirt then?
Just dirt. We fenced it, cleaned it, put up a sign. We sold it for $365,000.
And how long?
In about a year.
Oh my.
This
Lord,
corner lot,
mercy.
we bought this for $55,000. Cleaned it, fenced it, sold this.
Where this brick is here.
Right. We sold this to this developer here, literally $465,000.
Was that a lot at the time?
Just
then?
vacant land. There was a lot of vacant land down here at the time.
Did it feel like a lot of money to you?
To me, it
when
was
you were buying it.
It was a lot. It was all the money we had
to buy it.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
But that's when I learned about 1031s, and then what we did was we took the money. This is all brand new.
Yeah.
So we took the we took the money and we then used that money to go buy the building the first building, 95. We bought that building for cash at $235, and then we spent another $100,000 renovating it. Right?
Y'all getting that? So you're rolling the money, or you're putting the money back into the business.
We did the same thing all over again.
That's cool. We got the mics on.
We did the same thing all over again with another property that I'll show you shortly.
Look at this out here.
That we bought. We did the money we used to buy that was a 1031 money for $235. We had that lot for 7 years. We parked about 25 cars in there at $150 a month each car. And then at the end of the 7 years, we sold that for $1.6 million.
Oh my Lord.
But then we did a 1031 on that, and we, in the same neighborhood, on the same blocks, we went and bought other buildings. So instead of doing the development ourselves, we left the development to somebody else to do. But we bought the property already developed. All we had to do was just renovate. And those properties, till today, we still own. Some of them you're going to see literally today.
Where's your building? Oh, this is the bicycle guy.
This is one of the buildings here.
This is your bicycle tenant, isn't it?
Yeah. There's another building up the corner. So there's one around the corner.
All my homies, huh?
We're gonna be showing you these buildings. But I want everyone to understand this was as a result of 1031 exchanges and having a vision. when everyone else thought we were nuts. When we bought our first building down here, everyone thought we were crazy. When the reality was that they were the crazy ones for not buying.
Okay. Y'all, my cousin Lamont is here. What up, Lamont? He's here. So let's do this. Let's get into these buildings.
This here's my garage too. We rent these out for $500 a month.
Let's talk about that. Hit the window, Dan.
You like my truck, bro?
This is sweet. It's so
fucking nice.
So
Yo,
fun.
I didn't even have this open for you, bro.
We're still recording.
Windows open. All right.
I like this. I want y'all to get the real deal with Dan Borrero.
How are you, brother? You waiting long?
Man.
Yeah, sorry.
Is this not
It took me forever to get to him, man. That traffic down there.
Something?
That's why you told him to take a walk?
Yeah, but then I thought
I'm here
about it.
with
I was
my
like,
mentor, get to hang out
we
with
could get
my
some
mentor
content done.
and friend,
you know.
Dan Borrero. At one of his buildings, we're gonna get into this. Lamont Haskins. That's my cousin.
Let me call my my super.
Are you a new real estate investor or somebody that's thinking about getting started in real estate? You're trying to figure out what's the best strategy for you? What fits for me? What's the best way for me to get paid? Well, I've put together my 15 ways to get started in real estate investing right now. And these strategies work with or without experience. So if you're trying to figure out your way, trying to understand how can I actually get my foothold to get a better life for me and my family, go to the link in the video description or go to reifoundations.com and get started right now. It's only gonna cost you nothing but a tank of gas to get rolling. Let's figure out your action plan to help put together the future that's bright for you and the next generation of your family. Okay, let's get back to the video. That's my cousin, y'all.
I gotta give him a
So
call.
now let's go into one of Dan's buildings and see what's going on. The reason I brought you here is because he had a flood in one of his buildings.
So
Let's take a
Chris
look
says
and see
you
how
had
he's gonna
money. You
handle
had property down in Harlem. This building here is Sacred Heart. Used to be called Sacred Heart. Now it's the schools. The Archdiocese rents out the space to a private school. But
that. This whole thing.
yeah. So the thing is, this is where I grew up. And when I came back to the neighborhood after college, people thought I was crazy, that I didn't go to Wall Street or leave the neighborhood. But this is where I felt comfortable. And this is where I wanted to start investing in my own community.
No doubt.
So instead of selling out to the gentrification, I decided then I was going to be part or take advantage of that regentification in my own neighborhood and then keep what I owned. ¿Cómo está, Pilela? Yeah. So, you know, I decided I was going to keep what I own and not sell out to the gentrification.
Okay,
Right?
cool.
So this is one of the buildings.
You mentioned that this was the shithole area.
It was.
What does that mean? Paint that picture.
So
I don't
let's say
understand.
people came into the neighborhood, they thought this was a shithole. To
You
me,
talking
this,
like crime infested, drug infested?
they thought it was. Now, I grew up down here. I remember.
This is home.
It was just home. I didn't have to fight with anybody. The bad guys knew who the good people were, and they left us alone. And the good people knew who the bad guys were, and we left them alone, right? And there was like a mutual respect in the neighborhood, right? And if, let's say, Doña Mary saw me walking with the wrong crowd, she'd be calling up my mother saying, hey, Danny's walking with the wrong crowd. And everybody looked out for each other, right? This was here. These were 2 lots here. And I'll tell you a story. This building here, I had a chance to buy this for $20,000 my senior year in college.
Unreal.
And they were financing it for us. And I went to my dad and I said, Dad, all we need is $2,000. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to know. I don't want to know anything about any buildings. I'm done. I don't want to deal with no tenants. I'm finished, right? And they sold it to somebody else, right? And I was telling him, well, listen,
it's a 3-family.
Right, it's a 4-family.
1, 2.
And I was like, but I'll
4.
take care of it. I just need a year to graduate, right? So fast forward, come this way, guys, come this way.
Coming in?
Fast forward, what happened was my father was frustrated. He was working by himself. He had a bodega there for 35 years, and it was 12 hours a day in his defense. There was 8 of us that he was supporting, and it was a lot of work for him. So, but I was trying to say, listen, lend me the money, right? And I will.
You coming in?
No, he's gonna park. Lend me the money, and I'll pay you back. And he was like, no, I don't want you doing that. It's too hard. You're going to college. You're gonna go get a job. You're gonna go to work with a suit and tie. You ain't gonna work like this. I was like, yeah, I don't want to go work with a suit and tie, you know. So fast forward, he was frustrated. He had a lot on his shoulders. He couldn't see the vision, right? I don't think it was his fault. It was just life, right? So, but this is what I'm saying. Those were opportunities. People say like, you know, they talk about,
grand.
Yeah, they talk about, you know, in social media, right, Kris? Everyone's saying, oh, the new thing is you got to get the seller to finance it. And I'm like, that's not new. If you go to Black and Puerto Rican neighborhoods in Brooklyn days, the only way anybody could sell a building was if the seller financed, because the banks wouldn't finance it because of redlining, right? That's not new. So this building here, the lady's name was Miss Delano. She lived on the first floor.
All right, so this is I want to make sure, this is Dan's building, y'all.
Right.
All right, this is your building. You bought it when?
Actually, it was my dad who bought it.
Your dad bought
Right.
it, okay.
So he had his grocery store. This was his second property he ever bought.
What year?
This was back,
80s.
no, 70s, late 70s.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he
70s.
he had a bodega there, and Mr. Lano came down and said, well, you know, if I don't sell it to you, if you don't buy it, because you ain't got a lease, whoever buys it's probably gonna kick you out, or the mob's gonna probably want to buy it, and then they're gonna make you take the numbers, the illegal numbers. And my father was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I don't want nothing to do with those people. I'll buy it. He didn't want to buy it because his rent at the time was only $200 a month. But paying the mortgage was going to be more,
A lot more.
than what he was renting, because the upstairs rentals were
liability.
only getting like $190 a month, $200 a month.
Wow.
But we own the building ever since. The average rent now is about $3,000 a month per apartment.
How do you maintain this, Dan? I want to see those cornices.
So remember we spoke about I have an open permit. I have an open permit.
This is the one.
This is built. So we had to put up a shed about 5 years ago.
Shit.
And we had to brick point and power wash the whole entire building.
Shed.
And then fix the cornice, and the whole job got written off. Everything we do with permits, everything went fine.
You remember what that was?
Everything was done. I even paid the contractor.
We're talking about 100, 200.
Oh, back then it was about 100,000.
Okay.
So
Just for, y'all hear that? Just for this thing here.
So fast forward, guess what happens? I'm doing a search on the properties I always normally do. I haven't done it in a while. I see there's an open permit.
Title search.
No, I was just doing a buildings department search.
So you're looking for open
Permits. I'm looking
permits.
for any violations I may have that I was unaware
Permit
of.
search. I want y'all to understand what Dan's doing, a permit search. So if you're buying anything, he's doing this on his own houses.
I do it because sometimes I may have a violation.
You don't even know.
I don't even know because I didn't get the notice, right? So
for people that are buying, I want to stay there just real quick. If you're buying something, you better know if there are any violations on that property. So do your own search too. Go.
And even when you own the property, we own property. We own this property over 40 years, 50 years. We need
checking.
Yeah, we're checking.
That's crazy.
We have to check because the city's always looking to get into my pocket somehow, right? So it's the truth. So I find out there's an open permit, and I'm like, wait a minute. So I go down to the buildings department and I say, hey, let's figure this out. Like, why is there an open permit? You wrote off the job.
They closed.
He says, yeah, but the open permit for the shed is a different permit
Then the construction.
than the construction.
So we got a shed permit, which is the thing,
right.
and then a construction permit. Two.
So I was like,
too much.
all right, so how do we close it? And he says, well, we got to get an inspector to come out and
Look, that is not there.
that it's not there. I says, all right, well, tell me the paperwork so I can fill it out and we can make this happen. And they're like, no, you got to get a licensed architect to file a job, to reopen the permit, to then have them come out and close it. And I'm like, that don't make no sense.
$5,000.
I don't know yet, man. We're still negotiating. I'm still trying to work it through because it's over 5,000. And I'm like, so then I go back to the original architect and they lost their license. So he's not even.
Architect don't want to do it. Yeah, that's
No, so, and then I go back to the original contract and he said, but that's what you and the architect. I said, but I ain't hired the architect. I hired you. You hired the architect. But since he's already gotten paid, he don't want to know nothing about me.
So I wouldn't be thinking about you.
Now, guess what? Different animal now before I make a final payment. Now, I'm running a search on all
Oh,
my
the
on the
violation.
building to make sure every permit is now closed.
Closed permit.
Before they get a final payment.
Closed permit, y'all.
Yeah.
All right. So we got that done here. You want to give us? Y'all paid. You had this forever, so debt is done.
That is done.
Okay, cool.
There's no debt on any of my properties.
Good.
And
Help
I'm
us
proud of
understand
that.
why, Dan, because most people think you're a schmuck.
So a lot of people, yeah.
Me too. They make me feel like I'm a schmuck because I'm a no debt guy. They're like, why aren't you borrowing money and going making money with the money in the houses?
Look, the reality is this. There's two ways of thinking. Our way, we sleep well at night, right? And then there's the other way of, leveraging every property to go buy more property. And in my case, I've never felt that bigger was better, right? Or that faster was better.
There you go.
So I run my race the way I feel comfortable running
There you
it.
go.
And if you want to run your race that way and it works well for you, go
Go
for it. I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. But this is what works for me with my risk tolerance, right? I love the fact that I own all this property, absolutely no debt. My cash flow is through the roof.
Good.
When I want to save, when I need money for a down payment for another property, if I should need down payment,
You can always access it.
it's always right there because I have
Always
such
access.
amounts of cash flow. I've got huge savings accounts as a
Savings.
result of not having no debt. So I'm my own finance guy. I'm financing my own deals. I'm not paying 6, 7, 8% to some private lender or the bank. I want to keep all the money.
Got
So
it.
that increases my profit
Y'all
margin.
hear that, right? So debt, you get to decide.
You get to decide.
Do you want to go and leverage to the hills? It's okay. But for a lot of real estate guys and successful guys that I know, we try to get rid of the debt because it just makes us sleep easier at night.
Yeah.
And the soft pillow.
And there's guys that I know that are 70% leverage. That's actually not too bad, and they sleep very well. And
Different
that's
people.
and yeah, there's no
different.
right answer or bad or wrong or right answer. There's right or wrong, and there isn't. It's all about what works for you.
There you go. Yeah. Okay, let's walk around. We'll walk this one, Dan. Just tell me real quick, what's on the first floor?
So the first floor is a commercial space. It's a bike shop. Then upstairs you have 3 apartments, literally the length of the whole building. Just one of the things you guys have to keep. I want you to point out certain things. I go out of my way to put security cameras on all this building. So if you notice on this building alone, there's 3 security cameras. So there's one coming in this direction, another one going towards the garages, and another one going in front of the building.
Why you gotta do all that?
It's precautionary, plus it actually shows the tenants that we care about their safety, right?
24-hour surveillance.
24-hour surveillance, and whenever you have surveillance cameras up, the law says you have to notify people, letting them know
Got it.
that they have the camera up.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Now, I want to talk about this, guys.
So this is commercial, Dan, residential.
Yes.
And total
But
this thing.
this is the good part about this.
We're not done with income. I want to get to income. Go ahead.
Right here. You see these 2 garage spaces? Take a zoom in on this. These garage spaces.
This is one of those horse things.
No, that's actually an alleyway,
Okay.
because that doesn't lead anywhere. So these 2 garage
is 2
spaces.
single places.
Yeah, we own since the early 80s. I think we're into this between renovations, repairs, purchase.
Just for this?
Yeah, about $70,000. Each space pays $500 a month.
Wow.
They're gonna be paying. They're going up to $550. Both tenants already said yes.
That's $6,000 a year.
Yeah, $550. That's
66.
That's
6,600.
yeah. It's gonna be so. Yeah, it's 6. Is it? No, it's more than
5
that.
times 12, 60.
It's 12. It's gonna be almost $13,000 a year.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm looking at each one.
Yeah. So think about that. $13,000 a year, and I don't worry about water lines, sewer lines, roof leaks.
That's pretty
I don't
good.
worry about anything other than
Pretty
just
good.
cleaning the snow, right? So, I mean, this is where the real dollars are, guys. People think it's like, yeah, but it's only $550 a month. No, it's $550 a month, and you don't have to do squat.
And this is
Nothing.
included in the tax parcel for that.
That's right. Well, we combined them
Okay, so all
years
extra-
ago.
extra
Years
income.
ago, right?
This is almost having an additional income stream. It is an additional
It's an unbelievable profit center.
value add.
Value add,
Value
and believe it or not, none of the tenants occupy these 2 spots.
Who are these people, Dan? They
These
rent
are
these
people. I
parking
put up
spaces.
the sign, and within a day, I have renters.
Get out of here.
And the average person who rents these spots stay in these garages for 9 years.
So
even with the rent increases, they stay for 9 years because it's premium.
Who are these people? Do they live somewhere else?
Well,
Do
one
they
guy
work
actually
here?
lives up the corner.
Okay, so they live here.
Who has 2 vehicles, and he doesn't want to, change cars, looking for spots on alternate sides.
Okay.
He was getting a lot of tickets. He was like, yo, man, the money I save in tickets alone pays for the spot. And then the other guy lives around the corner. Same exact situation. Yeah. So, and I have people calling me up all the time that know me from the neighborhood, like, Dan, any of those spots become available, let me know. And I'm like, yeah, bro.
They're ready to go.
I'm not, when you see a sign up, you call me quick.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. So again, I just want to point out, Kris, I get more excited about collecting $550 per spot than I do rent because I don't do anything. This is like free money to me. That's $1,100 a month, free money.
That's sweet.
I love it. It's better than collecting a Social Security check.
I'm thinking about people that are getting $200 or $300 a month cash flow on a $300,000 building, Dan.
No, like
insane. All right. So listen,
good.
let's end this one here because we're getting ready to go. Stay tuned, all right? The next video, we're gonna go to a property where Dan just had a flood. It flooded the whole the different floors from a tenant left the water on. So if this was too long, I'm gonna chop it up. So make sure you stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, like it, and come on to the next video so you can see Dan's building. It's right down, next 2 doors down, and we'll see how this work is gonna pan out for the flood damage in the property.
Let's go.